Welcome to XR template tutorial lesson number 35 for the XR Web Designer 7 Premium software. And despite the name of this particular lesson, it's actually not going to be going over the XR software. In this tutorial, we're going to be going over purchasing your website domain name and your web hosting, because without that, you can't use a website on the internet. And so therefore, we have to cover this. I know some of you will already know how to do this, and this video tutorial may be completely irrelevant to you, and in that case you can just skip it and not watch it. But if you're one of those people that don't know how to purchase a domain name and web hosting, this video will be important for you, and important in terms of helping you understand some of the things that goes into purchasing these items. So if you haven't already, go ahead and open up your desired web browser. In this case, I'm using Firefox. And before you actually go to the website, I want to say that if you want to support us in making future tutorials for the XR Web Designer software, you don't have to, but I think we make some pretty cool tutorials, and I think that the more you support us, we'll be able to come up with some pretty creative ideas to help you take full advantage of the software for XR and improve your return on investment through the videos that we train you in. And if you do want to support us, what you're going to want to do when we upload video number 35, and I'll show you an example of a video that has a longer description. When you go to YouTube to watch lesson number 35, which is the lesson we're recording right now, when you go to the video, like for example, this is lesson number 34, you'll see 35 there when I upload lesson number 35. You're going to go to right below the video, and you're going to click on this link that says show more, and it's going to expand this option and show more of the description. And you're going to look for an affiliate link that goes to Godaddy. So if you need a domain name and web hosting, click on that affiliate link, buy your domain name and buy your web hosting through Godaddy the day that you click on that link, at the time that you click on that link. And what that will do is it'll generate us commissions, and any purchases that you make there will go towards helping me develop videos and helping me come up with some creative ideas to help you maximize your value out of the XR Web Designer 7 Premium software. So, why not support us if you need that stuff anyway? It doesn't cost you anything extra to click on the affiliate link. It's just one thing that you have to do, and it'll help you actually out as well. So, if you can click on the link and help us earn some cash, we'll continue to come up with some more creative ideas. We're probably going to do it anyway regardless, but it's always great to know that people support us and what we're doing, because it's something that's going to definitely help you again to get a decent return on your investment, I believe, because I think our videos are really helpful. But nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and transition out of my sales pitch, and I'm going to go ahead and bring us back to the Godaddy website. So if you clicked on that link, you should now be at the Godaddy website. If you're not, make sure you type in www.godaddy.com if you're not going to use the affiliate link. And when you get to that site, the first thing you'll see is a part that says your new website starts with a domain. And this may not hold true after this video or in the future, but as of August 20th 2012, this does hold true. When you come to their site, it's going to say your new website starts with a domain. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because websites change all the time, and you may have to readapt depending on how Godaddy structures their website. But in this case, when you go to their site, you're going to see a thing that says search for a domain. And this is where you'll search to see if a domain name is available. And for example, you can see that Godaddy.com is used by Godaddy.com. If you look at their logo and you look at the address bar up here, it says Godaddy.com. So if you were to type in Godaddy.com in this search for a new domain, it would not be available because Godaddy.com owns that. And so no one can have that .com. So when you choose a .com name, it's going to be specific to your business. And also, I do want to mention another thing. There's more than one type of ending for your domain names. Like .com is just one. The only other one that I recommend that you use is really .org if you're an organization. But if you're a business, you're going to want to use a .com. So if you click this drop-down menu, left click it once, it'll show you the different options. You see there's a .com, there's a .org. There is one other one that you may use, but I highly doubt it unless you're involved with a education-based institution, and that's the edu. It's in here somewhere. There's so many extensions I can't find it, but there should be an edu option in here too. If I don't know if you can actually purchase that on your own, but it's possible to have an edu as well. But I don't know if you can actually purchase that legally without having some kind of proof that you're an education website. But I don't see it in here, so don't worry about that. Just know that you can get a .com or a .org. Those are the two primary ones that I would recommend. Anything outside of that, unless you're doing like a mobile website, you might use a .mobi. So that's for mobile websites. But usually the main ones are .com, .org, and .mobi. And you might use, let's see, there is one other one you might use. I'm trying to find it here. See if I can find. You might use the .net. I don't see it in here, but yeah, here it is. You might use a .net, which is like network. So that's the only other one that I can think of that you might use. But the other ones, I think it's just, really preference. I don't think you really need to use the other ones, but preferably you want to use the ones that I've just mentioned here. But in this case, I'm going to leave it as a .com because I'm going to assume that you're doing a business website and not a nonprofit. So leave it as .com. And before we actually enter a domain name, you want to think about what kind of domain name you want and does it reference your business. So if you sell chocolate and you name your company ABCDEFG, chances are people aren't going to know that ABCDEFG means you sell chocolate. So you want a name that really reference what you do. And also that helps with optimizing your website too. If you have a domain name that includes keywords, that's a great approach because that will help with optimizing your website. When Google views your site and they see that your .com is actually named some of the keywords, it can be beneficial. I can't guarantee that it will rank you really well, but it definitely can help to have your domain name having keywords directly related to what your business does. The other thing is you want to try to keep your domain name short. My recommendation is that you don't make it longer than 2 words. If you named your company, let's call it this, the Cookie Company, the Cookie Company Masters, the Cookie Company Masters. I mean, even if that doesn't make sense, I don't care for the sake of this tutorial, but that's a really long name. People probably aren't going to remember that. The Cookie Company Masters is a very long .com. You try remembering that like a week later, you're probably not. It's a really long name. So I recommend that you try to keep it really simple. Like, for example, GoDaddy is kind of broken into 2 parts, Go and then daddy.com. Another company that does the same thing, think about it, Best Buy, which is an electronic company, but they keep it within 2 words. And I think that's really important that you try to follow that trend. If you look at, a site like Google, they keep it as short as one name, google.com. If you look at another search engine, bing.com. So I highly recommend you try to keep it within 2 words. Anything beyond that could probably be problematic for people to remember, and they probably won't remember. Another example is a site called newegg.com, and they sell electronics as well. They break it into 2 parts, newegg.com. So definitely try to hold to that principle. I think it's a really good one, and it will help people to remember your .com a lot more easily. So what we're going to do, now that I've talked to you for a while here again, we're going to actually enter a domain name. You're going to enter whatever domain name you want, and we're going to see if that domain name is available. So I'm going to type in creative design, and then once you type your domain name, go ahead and left click on go. And we get a prompt that tells us it is already taken. You can see it in red text here, creativedesign.com, and then the red text is already taken, meaning that creativedesign.com is already taken. And I said red text because there's an emphasis that it's taken. So that means that you cannot buy that domain name because someone already owns it. And if you look down below, there's some suggestions or variations that you may consider. Maybe you want to do artisticgraphic.com or artistic-plan.com. Another thing I recommend is try to eliminate any special characters like hyphens in your .com. I highly recommend you don't do that. The average person does not want to enter in hyphens to reach your site, so try not to do that. One that you probably don't want these either. These are premium domains, and they are really expensive if you look at the pricing. So I would try to avoid those two because that's a ridiculous amount of money, especially for this one, designhouse.com. I mean, come on, $98,000. Are you going to really pay that? Probably not. And you probably can't. And if you could, you probably would not spend it on a .com. So, keep in mind, you're not going to get the domain name you necessarily want. So you've got to be creative and come up with some concepts. And if that domain name is not available, you go to the right and you'll see that there's an option for new search. Left click on that, and you'll be able to enter in a new search. So let's try another name. Let's see if creative designer. Let's try that and type in search. It takes a moment for it to process. That's taken too. So let's go ahead and click new search again. Let's try creative guy. Let's type in creative guy and see if that's available. And it may take you a while to find a .com that's available. So this is a good simulation of the difficulty that can be involved with finding a .com that is available for you. Now in some cases there will be .coms that are not available right now, but you have to kind of wait and see if it becomes available. I'm not going to go into that in this tutorial. If you do want to know more about that, just let me know, and I'll try to make a tutorial on how to check and see, if a domain is about to expire, and try to give you a general idea of how to go about acquiring that particular .com. In this case, I can tell that something with creative is going to be a lot harder to use, so we may want to try something like creative.knack.com and then search for that and see if that's available. And as you can see, it is available, but it's a premium domain name, and you probably don't want to pay $2,000 something for it. So we'll do a new search. I'm gonna find one here that is actually available. So we'll say website, websitemaster.com. So let's try that. That's already taken. So again, you can see how tedious of a process this can be, and that's why you probably want to hire a web designer sometimes, because this can be very frustrating. So let's go ahead and give me a moment to think of something that I could type in here that would actually be available for this .com. Let's try creative creative spot. Let's try that. Creative spot. Maybe that's available. Let's try creative desk. Okay, I'm not having any luck today. I'm just gonna make up something because I don't want to make this tutorial too much longer. So I'm just gonna make up a domain name, and hopefully we will find something that is available, because people like to buy up a lot of .coms. We're just gonna say the tutorial guy. Yeah, let's just type in tutorial guy. Maybe that'll be available. I think that'll be a little bit easier to find. If that's not available, we're gonna do tutorial guru. I'm pretty sure no one's gonna take that. If they have, I'm going to have to make up something really crazy for this tutorial. Okay, you know what? We're just going to call it the Mac guy. I'll see if somebody, and I don't use a Mac, by the way, for all you Mac fans, but I do know how to use one. Man, this is ridiculous. Okay, we're going to just type ridiculous names. I don't know. There's got to be something available that we can use so I can get this tutorial going. Okay, let's just forget it. We're just gonna type abcdefg.com. because I'm tired of actually trying to figure out a name. Wow, really? You're probably laughing right now if you're watching this tutorial, because I can't find a domain name. That's really sad when you can't even type the alphabet in. Okay, this is going to work.com. Hopefully this is actually available. It's going to be really sad if this is not available. I think this is the most fun I've had in the tutorial. In all the tutorials I've made, this is the most exciting one. Okay, wow, there we go. So we know that this is going to work.com is available as a .com. So when you find a domain name that is actually available, it will show you a check mark, which again, this may not hold true in the future, but for right now it does hold true as of August 20th, 2012. And when you see that it's available, you will click on the add button. And when you left click on the add button, you'll see that there's a prompt in your order summary. It'll say one domain pending registration. When you finally choose that name, you'll continue to registration. It'll bring you a prompt. Don't miss your chance to save some money or whatever percentage. I usually ignore all this stuff unless you're planning to buy multiple domain names. And if you're not, you can just ignore this stuff. If you are, you can read through this information and see, if you want those additional domain names. In this case, I'm going to hit no thanks. This little orange button at the bottom, left click on that, and we'll wait for the next screen to load here. And once you do that, if you're already a customer of Godaddy, you'll put in your information in this little gray box over here that says, are you already a customer? You log in and you finish your purchase. If you're not, you go to the other option here where you see where it says or. Immediately to the right, you'll see create your domain name or your domain registration information. So you put in your name, your email address, and you'll put in your company name. And I don't know what this is here, so let me take a look at here. Oh, okay, you can get an email address as well, and it'll get 5 email addresses, 2 gigabytes of email storage, 1 gigabyte of cloud storage, a group online calendar, and so on and so on. If you want to read through this stuff, you can. So if you want to add an email for $249 a month, you can add that for $2.49 a month for your email. Put in your company name. By checking this box, you certify that the company name specifies the legal registration of this domain name. So if you put in a company name, it needs to be related to your company. Don't just make up a fictitious name. It needs to be legitimate. If you don't have a company name, then just don't fill that out. It's not relevant. Put in your address, put in your city, country, state, zip code, phone number, fax. You don't have to put the fax in, but you got to put in your name. And you'll see that there's red highlights around the boxes that you have to absolutely fill in, no matter what you do. And you'll see there's little red asterisks, and those are representation of fields that you have to fill out. So you do have to put in an email address as well. If you don't have one, you need to make up one. So next thing you'll do, you will hit next, and it will take you through a series of windows, and you'll follow instructions just like in this window how you have to fill out the information. I can't walk you through it because I haven't filled in any of those fields, and I'm not going to, because let's see how far I can get without actually having to fill out this information. Yeah, I'm not going to do it because they're probably going to try to send an email to this person's address, and I don't want them to feel like they're getting spammed. But what you would normally do is you fill all this information out, you'd hit next, and when you get to the end, you'll be able to check out. You'll pay for the .com, you'll own it, and that'll be how you register your .com. Now for your web hosting, if you go back up to the menu here, you'll see websites and hosting. So left click on websites and hosting, and there's a few different options. You can ignore the servers option unless you plan on managing a bunch of websites for a bunch of clients. But if you do, you can choose a server plan, which is going to be exceptionally more expensive. If you plan on selling, web hosting services, that kind of thing, you probably want to choose this plan. But if you're not, if you're making websites for individuals or small businesses, the website builder may be an option for you. You don't need the website builder, you just need the web hosting. But you might go with this particular plan, and that plan is $5.69 a month. And it looks like you have to use their website builder, so I would go with the web hosting option, which is the middle center option. and it's for bloggers, developers, and designers. So I would preferably go with the web hosting center option, and this one's 12 months at $6.64 a month. You'll save 26%. If you do it for additional months, you'll save 30%, and it'll be $6.29 a month. If you do it for 36 months in the contract, you'll pay $5.94 a month, and you'll save 34%. So depending on how many years or months you choose, you're gonna get different pricing. And this plan includes the Linux OS with 150 gigs of space. That's just where you store all your information. And it works with a few different content management systems such as WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and more. You get unlimited websites and bandwidth. So that means you can have an unlimited number of domain names under this web hosting plan, and you get unlimited bandwidth. According to this, it may not be 100% accurate, but according to this description, it appears that you'll get unlimited websites. You can have as many domain names or .coms as you want without it being restricted, and the bandwidth shouldn't be restricted either. You'll get a total of 500 email addresses, which you'll probably never use. Don't worry about MySQL. You're probably not going to be involved with that unless you know what you're doing, and you probably don't if you're using Xara Web Designer, because that's dealing with databases. But if you do, that may be relevant for you. You'll get a little bit of free Google advertisement, and you get a little bit of Facebook advertisement. And I apologize if this tutorial is really long, but I'm really trying to hold your hand and walk you through this, because there are some people that absolutely have no idea what web hosting is or what a .com is. And just to explain to you, web hosting is essentially where your website is stored on the internet, which is why you have that 150 gigabytes of disk space, because you gotta have somewhere to store your website. So imagine your website just like if it were stored on your physical computer hard drive. It is being stored on a hard drive that is specifically accessed from the internet. So that's why you have that disk space there, and that's essentially what web hosting is. It's storing information related to your website on a hard drive that is accessed via the internet. So that's the simplest way to explain it to you without getting technical. But if you want to do that web hosting plan, you would go ahead and choose from this drop down menu the option you want, hit add to cart, and once you do that, again, I tend to ignore all these different prompts. Really don't need to worry about it. You can read through this stuff if you think it's relevant to you. If you want to have SSL certificates, that may be relevant if you're doing things like purchasing, allowing your clients to purchase stuff on your site. You may want to have that. But if you use something like PayPal that encrypts your data anyway, you may not need this. But if for some reason you need to encrypt your website transactions, you can use this to encrypt that data and transactions, or to protect your private information. So there's a few different options. I'm not going to go through all this. I'll let you read that in your own time. But just go ahead and click the next orange button at the bottom here, and it'll take you to this part, and it says please complete your domain registration before proceeding to checkout. And now in this case, I'm going to click do not add domain names to my purchase at this time. This little blue link, I'll left click on that because we don't want to deal with that domain name right now. And so once you get here, you'll see that it gave you an option for Deluxe Web Hosting Linux. You've got a 1-year term. You save some kind of money because of some kind of special promotion. So it's only $79 versus $107 something. And if you're ready to make your purchase, or if you want to change the terms, you can change them here. And I'll just leave it at 1 year for now. If you're ready to continue checkout, just go to this little option over here that says continue to checkout in green. Left click on that, and you'll have to fill out all your information. If you're already a customer, you'll fill out this top part that says customer number or login and password. If you're not a customer, you would fill in all this information, such as your account information. And once you fill all that out, you'll go to the next column. You'll fill out your login information to set it whatever you want it to be. Make sure you write this down somewhere or save it so that you know your call-in pin. And you can press any of these question marks to get an understanding of what these different things are. So like if it says password, you click on the question mark next to it. It's really small, you probably can't see it on my screen, but if you click on any of these question marks, it'll tell you, some additional information that will help you understand what you need to enter. And when you're done, you would hit the continue to checkout option, and you would go from there, and you would finalize your purchase. And if at any time, if you're on a website and you're trying to figure this thing out, and you're on the site, just give GoDaddy a call while you're on the site making your transactions and ask them to walk you through the process as you're on the site. And call this number that you see at the upper right hand corner, and they should be able to walk you through the process of purchasing it online. I highly recommend that you do this online, because if you learn how to buy your domain name and web hosting on their site, it'll save you a lot of time. You won't have to wait on the phone for people to tell you where to go, and you won't have to worry about them upselling you on some other product, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you want to just simply get the task done in an efficient manner, it's much more efficient to just do it yourself if you know how to. So that's the tutorial on how to buy your domain name and web hosting. And again, if you have any questions, you're going to want to contact GoDaddy. I am not a representative of GoDaddy, by the way. I just happen to have a affiliate link that will be in the video. And if you're serious about supporting us, that's one way that you can support us, is by clicking on the link in lesson number 35, which is this video, by clicking on the show more option. And I'll show you that one more time. If you go to the video, this is lesson 34, so you're going to want to look for lesson 35, which is the video I'm recording right now, and you'll go to the show more option. In this case, it's not showing because I've already opened it, but you would see that show more option. Left click on that, look for the GoDaddy link, and follow the stuff that I just showed you in this tutorial. So I hope this tutorial was helpful in helping you understand how to get your domain name, the importance of choosing a good domain name that's not confusing or super long, keeping it down to about 2 words if you can, and trying to include some keywords for your domain name. Like if you're doing creative web design, then obviously that relates to websites, because you have the word web design, and creative is creative, so you may get some hits from the term creative when people search for you on the Google search engines. But again, I can't guarantee that. And for your web hosting, you know that that's essentially where you store your website on the internet, and without it you can't go on the internet. And when you buy a domain name, only you own it, no one else can own it. So in a nutshell, that is this tutorial. I hope that helps you to understand how to get your web hosting and how to get your domain name. If you have any questions, send me a message. And again, I apologize for the super long tutorial, but I really needed to make sure that the average Joe, that is watching this video is going to be able to understand. And if it is confusing, I'll do my best to make a new tutorial at some point to help you understand this process. But I can't emphasize, without this you cannot upload your website. You got to have this. So make sure that you get your domain name and your web hosting. Thanks again for viewing this tutorial. If this tutorial was helpful for you, give us a thumbs up. If it wasn't helpful for you, send me a message. Tell me where the weaknesses are or what part you didn't understand, and I'll do my best to assist you. And make sure you subscribe to our channel, because now that we're finished with this super long tutorial about domain names and web hostings, we're going to be talking about how to actually upload your website using Exar Web Designer 7 Premium. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, and give us a thumbs up if you like this video.